Welcome to SFL This Week. Alongside Mike O'Neill, I'm Cameron Irvine, and the countdown to kickoff begins now as Fort Worth and Alamo City are about to square off on our first Monday Night Spectacular of the season. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good, man. It feels good to be in a new season. It is a really, really good time to be an SFL fan right now.
And hopefully you guys can hear us okay and see us okay at home from SFL Studios and from Mike O'Neill's old new digs, question mark, as he continues his conquering of the country. You're moving here coming up, right?
Yeah, we're moving. And, it's always a tedious process, but new beginnings are a great thing, such as this new season, because it's been really good so far this weekend.
Absolutely. And let's take a look at the headlines before we get into it on the show. Magic Manning stole the show this week. He had 12 catches for 236 yards and 4 touchdowns, and had a punt return touchdown as Tulsa beat Carolina. Canton went old school on Arizona, held them to 163 total yards, 8 pass completions in their second straight home shootout. Ellis's evening in Baltimore was a big one for Queen City. His 149 yards propelled the Corsairs over Baltimore. Headhunters got their first trophy this season. 204 rushing yards, 4 passing touchdowns en route of San Diego. And the Lycans look good, but they blunder the final minute in a 24-23 loss. Pacific rival Seattle. Of those 5 games, Mike, which one was stand out to you?
Oh, man. Well, I had the pleasure of calling the Seattle-LA game. That one was great. But I got to tell you, man, Queen City really, really impressed me. Adrian Ellis was really impressive. James Matthew Jr. was amazing as well in that game. That one for me is the one that stands out overall. I know you got to say, oh, well, Arizona put up 0 points and Canton. Listen, that was a great game. But for me, watching Queen City felt like the start of something new.
Sultan LSCG, $5 super chat. Mike O'Neill is the very definition of a nomad. I don't know what a nomad is. That's how uncultured I am. What's a nomad?
It's the person with no home, right? They just keep traveling. Okay. That is like, I feel like that might be us, my wife and I.
That makes sense. Well, those were the week one headlines, but first, we start in Florida on opening night with the Charleston Predators and the Florida Storm. And on the first possession, Adam Nold with a pick 6 takes it all the way back the other way. No one was anywhere near him, and Charleston took an early 7-0 lead and started the season off right. But Ron Cochran was not going to go away. E.J. Minson, who now on Fort Worth, who plays tonight, but Caleb Giffis with the first touchdown of the season for Florida, wearing their golden-clad uniforms in honor of their championship. Nice roll back there to Stephen Bush. Made it 17-7 Florida at the end of the first half, and it looked like it was all going to be Florida, especially on the first play of the second half when they recovered this fumble, Mike.
Yeah, this was a huge moment in this game here. This was, if you're Charleston, you got to take care of the ball in that situation. And Florida just, proving to be that championship caliber team in all the ways, and being able to turn over the ball like that is a huge reason why they're champions, former champions.
But the Charleston defense kept them in it all night. That pass picked off by Khalil Thomas, and Charleston just down 10, got the ball right back to their offense. It took their offense a long time to get moving. End of the third quarter. This is a touchdown. John Lakeman's first of the night, made it 20-14. Now flash forward to 3 minutes to go in the fourth. This would have given Charleston the lead, and Benjamin Warner dropped the ball in the end zone. Charleston had to settle for a field goal. Then they get a turnover. And then on Charleston's next possession, they had an opportunity to take a lead with a touchdown as you get a second look at Warner's drop there. And what happens? Lakeman throws in the end zone, and it's another drop. Davius Reed. So Charleston has to settle for a field goal again, 20-20. Who wants to win this game? Well, that would be Florida. Clutch pass there. Then Ethan Snead from 43 yards out. Oh, it's dicey, and it's good. To the right, Florida gets the win, 23-20. What a way to start the season off, Mike.
Man, you are not kidding. And that felt oddly reminiscent of a former matchup, right, between these two, which was pretty crazy, man. I mean, look, that was a nail biter, that final field goal right there. I know I was biting my nails watching that. It was a really, really good game. I mean, hats off to both teams. Florida, while they look dominant, not so dominant as they did last season. And Charleston, again, a lot of people were talking about this is the year Charleston takes that step forward. And I think if you come out and you play a former champion team like that, I mean, it says a lot.
Yeah, the last season when Charleston and Florida played, Charleston got some cheap touchdowns on Florida that helped keep them in that game. They were in Charleston, too. This was on the road against Florida, banner night, right? So it was a little bit more impressive, even despite the loss. All right, we keep the show rolling. Now to Baltimore, where Queen City was taking on their former, now current, once again division rival, and Eric Price, picked up in free agency, hits Adrian Ellis for the touchdown, put Queen City up early 7-0. Then Hubba Kimbrell, another free agent acquisition this offseason, ties the game for the Vultures at 7. But Eric Price, man, he was slinging it. Look at this ball rolling out of the pocket to James Matthew Jr., and Queen City goes up 14-7. They would not make this easy on Baltimore. And look at the Queen City sideline, Mike. They are loving it. Late in the first quarter, Price downfield. What a ball. Giovanni Bolt with the interception. That was the best interception of the week, as Jack Wigmore would fire to Maxima and tie the game at 14. This is a great back-and-forth game all day, Mike.
Yeah, it was so back and forth, and what impressed me so much was just especially right there. I mean, you see just the accuracy and precision from Eric Price, and it makes you wonder, right, as the season goes on, if Queen City keeps this up, is this somebody that we would consider as the acquisition of the offseason, right, with Eric Price? I mean, there's some big acquisitions this offseason, but Eric Price coming into this Queen City locker room, and look at that. That is unbelievable what that player can do in space, man. That's why Baltimore's so dangerous. But yeah, Queen City, man, that's it's something we're going to have to look at, because Eric Price seems so far like a really good pick for Queen City.
Ivor Irvin's pretty good. We picked this up in the fourth quarter, tied at 24. Backup in for Eric Price, who exited the game with an injury. Could the backup make the plays to keep Queen City in the lead and in this game? Yes, Adrian Ellis with a huge catch that would force a Queen City field goal. Then Anthony Wyo, another big free agency pickup, acquisition for the Corsairs with the interception. Queen City would turn that into a field goal. Flash forward now, 12 seconds left. Daley Holder makes an excellent effort to get the first down. They call a timeout with 7 seconds. An incomplete pass at the goal line left Baltimore one opportunity with 4 seconds to go. And Mike, no one was open deep in the end zone on this play, because Queen City's secondary delivered. A forced dump off to Daley Holder meant that Queen City would hold on and win this game 30-24.
Yeah, Queen City, man, really seeming to ramp something up. I said this last season, man, when we were coming in to last season, right after that Alex Marshall pick. I said this is a person that comes into a locker room and changes the culture. So far, that's what we're seeing there in Queen City. Queen City looks like a brand new team for season 21. Or season 22, excuse me.
So Queen City gets the first win, and Baltimore, which is no recent stranger to early season losses, will shake it off and get back to the drawing board in week 2. Our first PGI of season 22 belongs to Queen City's Alex Marshall.
All right, week 1 of PGI is back, y'all. Welcome back, and I'm so glad to be back as a part of this wonderful experience, Monday Night Extravaganzas. Now, I'm here with a very special friend of mine that had a fantastic game against the Baltimore Vultures, Mr. Alex Marshall. He is the offensive coordinator for the Queen City Corsairs, as well as their free safety. How are you doing, man?
Doing very well. I've been very hyper today. I was running around my bedroom at 2 a.m. in the morning when we stopped them on that last play. So it's been all day. I've been kind of enjoying the win and celebrating and trying to already talk in our coach's room with our scouts, try to get ready for Houston and enjoy the win while we can. But it's only one win. It all obviously still all end in tears for the next 11 games. So we got to make sure we don't get too carried away. But we'll still definitely enjoy ourselves this week with a huge win that will really really spur things on for us. I've not seen a locker room that exciting quite since I think I've joined there. So it's a really great way to start the season, especially with all the new players we got.
Indeed. And what I like to say, it's week one. So it's a 50-50 chance either way. You guys have no idea what the other opponents are going to do. You only have 4 different books out of 33 different possibilities that y'all had to choose from. So it is interesting to see what book actually worked for you and how it all played out, because Adrian Ellis was a beast in this game. And I wanted you to go back and kind of give us your from your perspective of watching this game play out and watching your team stop Baltimore in the red zone, even though they had a chance towards the end of the game to make a comeback, but they failed to do so because of the fantastic defense. So just let us know how you're feeling right now about your team's performance.
It was just a complete performance, I feel like, by everybody. Like on offense, obviously Ellis and JMJ killed it, though I'm going to be pushing for JMJ to get fined a week's wage for one of his obscene drops I saw him have on 3rd and long. But still, it was about 160 yards he got for both of them. And with Adrian Ellis, he had, obviously because of things, a very eventful offseason for us, he had to be propped up into the wide receiver 1 role. And he really stepped up when we really needed him to. And I know it's been, I don't know quite how long he's been at Queen City for. I wouldn't know myself, but he's definitely been there longer than I have, I think. And, I'm really happy for him to really get a time to shine. He was on the front page of the website this morning, which is great. And then on defense, Chad put together a really good plan to kind of hold them when we desperately needed him to. I think on 3rd down, they were 2 for 9 on conversions, which for Baltimore, with all their running backs they have, they're all really highly rated. That's a really great accomplishment. And some heroics by the DBs like Wyo, who I know he's quite highly paid, which winds up certain people in the league, but I like to think he showed why he is paid that much. So hopefully that will make some people pipe down a bit for a bit.
Just for a little, huh?
It's only 1 week, so I'm not going to get too carried away, but
right.
It's nice to see that maybe that'll keep people a bit quiet for a little while. Just a little while.
At least for a couple of days. And well, I wish you guys the best of luck for the rest of the season. Queen City Corsairs still have 4 championships title under their name. So, even though in seasons prior, things have kind of been a roller coaster ride for you guys, seems like you guys are at least on the right track for this first game. So I wish you the best of luck. Okay.
Thank you. You too.
All right. You have a good one.
You too.
All right, so Mike, you fully believe that it's that man right there that's going to take Queen City to a place they haven't been in quite some time.
Yeah, man, I'm all aboard the Alex Marshall train. And look, this is somebody, we saw what he did in Chicago in the minors as an offensive coordinator. And then we're going to see, we saw that in that matchup with Baltimore. I really do believe that this is somebody that could change the culture and change the fate of Queen City moving forward. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Queen City make the playoffs this season.
All right, back to the highlights. Let's go to Indianapolis, where Atlanta got off to a hot start. Bryant Dynasty into the end zone to K. Marion. A lot of free agent acquisitions making some awesome plays in week 1. Indianapolis would strike right back. Jeff Banfield on Indy's first possession tied the ball game at 7. Then a key 4th down stop. Adam Wiseman on 4th and 1. The Ramblers get the stuff. And then Colin Pierce hits Jeff Banfield for his 2nd touchdown of the first half. 14-7. Indianapolis takes the lead just before the half. One of the best plays of the week. Bryant Dynasty play fake and everybody bit. Boo Chisholm all by himself scores and makes it 14-14. A brilliant play there by Bryant Dynasty on the play fake. Let's pick it up late in the 3rd, and this is when Ryan Roosevelt took over Mike O'Neill. The longest play from scrimmage for Indy in the last 2 seasons. He's out of there.
Yeah, this was a beautiful play. Oh, look at the miss there. The spin move was killer by Roosevelt. But we've seen that a lot this weekend. We see safeties come up and try and make those plays, and Ryan Roosevelt will take advantage of that all day long.
And then again on the next possession, Roosevelt makes another tough catch in traffic. Gets Indy all the way down into field goal range, and they would settle for 3 with 4:15 to go. Last gasp for Atlanta on 4th down. It's picked off. Rick Evans takes over, and Indianapolis gets the win 24-14. Let's transition to Los Angeles, where the Seattle Nemesis were in town to take on LA. You were on the call for this one, Mike, and Seattle got things going early. Type Attack completed his first 5 passes. That one to Gus Scott for a touchdown. Now Sully Richardson rolling to his right finds Chris Lee. What a dime. They said he stepped out, so they brought the touchdown back, but still a terrific catch from Chris Lee. That ended in a field goal. Then Los Angeles takes the lead here as LZ Pryor gets the touchdown from Richardson. 10-7, Los Angeles on top of Seattle, and the fans love it there at Lycanthrope Lair. End of the second quarter, a critical 3rd down and 9 for LA. And here's one of your dudes that you've been watching, Bubba Tree, is one of the most improved players in the league, Mike, and he gets a clutch catch there to give Los Angeles a field goal, makes it 13-7. Then J.W. Doyle at 16-7 late in the third out of the backfield making plays. And then a Type Attack, you called it right on the broadcast, doing things like this, Mike.
Yeah, the sneak was there, man. The sneak, they kept coming out in the split jokers look, and the sneak just works when you got a quarterback like Type Attack. But man, how about the throw and catch right there for Seattle? I was on this call, man, and it was so good to see these two teams go back and forth, and it really signifies a rivalry to come forward.
Sully Richardson bounces right back to Bubba Tree, 23-21. LA decides not to go for 2 because they figure, well, we're going to get the ball back here. Don't want to chase any points. Type Attack on a critical 3rd down, takes off and runs and gets the first. And the clock continues to tick, tick, tick away as Seattle can get a game-winning field goal on the board if they get into range. And oh yeah, that's a nice catch in double coverage. Type Attack puts a laser on it. Seattle does get that field goal. Then, Mike, what happened here? Sully's got to know that the clock is running. Seemed like he didn't, and they just took too much time.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a miscommunication on the field there. You never want to run a play with motion whenever you've got less than 30 seconds left to go. And Cam, they really were in a good spot at one point. They had a minute left. They were driving down the field. But you can't have, plays with motion in your 2-minute offense, Cam. You just can't.
So then outside of field goal range with all 3 timeouts, they left them all on the board. The pass was caught by Pryor, but he ends up 4 yards short of the end zone. And that's how that game ends. Seattle wins 24-23 as Los Angeles just left a lot on the table. Now, we talked about how you were on this call. Both of these teams, I thought, looked really, really good. They looked like 2 potential playoff teams. LA had some poor execution down the stretch, but they looked like the team at the end of last season that we were saying, wow, this team has gotten a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sully Richardson carried that momentum from the second half of last season into this season. Obviously, we talk about the diversity, but I mean, I was so impressed by the play calling offensively for LA, and it was really, really something to watch because, I mean, there were times where I was thinking they were going to go pass or going to go run just by the formation they came out in, and they go the opposite. Anytime you can keep a defense on your toes like that, it really makes it difficult for a defensive coordinator. I think LA is going to do big things this season. I really, really think if they can just continue to stay on the same page and play their game, they're going to be excellent.
No highlights of blowouts, so we talk about Arizona and Canton, 28-0. 7 first downs for Arizona, 163 total yards of offense. DJ Moses had, I think, 7 carries, Mike. This was a bizarre game. In fact, Arizona had 2 minutes of time of possession in the second half. They just were never on the field and couldn't get Canton off of it.
Yeah, and this is what happens whenever you can't get the run game going. And I think this is going to show the importance of play calling even more this season because it is so crucial that you get the run game going, right? The teams that we've seen get the run game going this season in this first week have been successful. So Canton called 55 run plays, right, in that game and, got the win. DJ Moses And that offensive line, there's no excuses. They got to get back to work. I know Eddie Gage will get back in the lab, but there's no excuse. You got to get that man the ball and get him going. You got to get it to him more than however many times you got it to him in that game, because he is a superstar for you, and he's what's going to be ultimately going to be the engine for your offense.
There was a lot of chatter after this game. Ashley Jackson first caught up with Arizona head coach Eddie Gage.
All right, and we are back with PGI, and I have here Mr. Eddie Gage, head coach over in Arizona, who has just came off a loss to the Canton Classics, man. 0-28, so no points scored, coach. Anything happened?
Ken came in with a great game plan. We couldn't stop their run game. I think they ran the ball 50-something times, which is crazy because I didn't see nothing like that in practice. But shout out to them for getting the job done. Our receivers couldn't catch nothing. We couldn't get our own run game going, and it's a bad day at the office. And threw a pick in the end zone. I mean, you can't scout that. I mean, like I was talking about earlier with you guys in the VC, on the pick we threw in the end zone, they had a defensive lineman drop back in coverage, and he took away your first read was the hitch. I can't remember if that was Will Todd or a slot receiver or whoever it was, but defensive lineman took away the hitch, dropping back in coverage. You never see that crap. And we threw a pick, and we just never recovered. But shout out to Ken. They came with it today.
Now, there were a few positives. I mean, there was an interception that was made. I believe that was by Iverson Gamble.
Yeah, Instagram.
Yeah, and so there were a few moments where, Arizona did have a chance to come back into the game. But, being a quarterback, for those that don't know, of the Arizona Scorpions, it is embarrassing to not aim properly, aim to two other people, or the wide receivers just can't catch. By the way, everybody's going to be walking around with footballs this week. Don't put the football there, not even to use the bathroom, nothing. You're going to carry that ball because it needs to be in your hands. I mean, whatever the fullbacks, halfbacks, when you have plans, it's just week one and things don't work out the way you think it should or the way you originally planned for it, you just go back to the drawing board like a lot of teams did this week. Half of the teams did have to do that. So it's just a learning curve, I think, and I'm sure that Arizona is going to be back to their their best playing ability in weeks to come, but this is something that you have to see in order to fix, so was it hard for you to game plan with only having the limitation of 4 books to use this season, or do you think that's actually easier in the long run? Just quickly.
Not really, because they don't know what we're doing either. I mean, there are limitations about the new rules I don't like, but at the end of the day, everyone has to deal with it. So it is what it is. Again, I'll take nothing away from Canton. They brought it today.
Yeah,
they ran the ball down our throat, and we just could not stop them. Anytime our pass defense I was pretty cool with. We gave us a couple of big third downs through the air, but other than that, I was pretty impressed with our passing defense. But man, our run defense was horrible today, and that's just not us. So we got to get that fixed.
Yeah, well, I guess we're gonna have to go ahead and get them push-ups started, man. So I'm gonna see you in a few minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right.
All right, welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with a good friend of mine. Has actually been on the show before on SFL nights before, but had a great win over the Arizona Scorpions. Mr. Andrew Gibson, wide receiver for the Canton Classics. It's good to hear from the other side. What's going on, man?
Good to hear from you too.
So that was a really good win. I mean, no points scored for Arizona, 28 points scored for Canton Classics. So what was the locker room vibe like? What was going through everybody's mind at that moment?
I think it definitely came down to our pregame invocation. Like Christian was hyping up the team before the game, and I'd say just like while we were watching the game, everybody was in the locker room and a voice chat, just talking, watching the game together, interacting with each other. I think the vibes were great. I think it was just overall just a really, really team built environment that I think is going to be a strong force to come with here throughout the season.
Definitely. And with even the game plan that was put together, I know that there were some coaching changes in the offseason, and it seemed to work out in your favor, especially by this being week one. Of course, you never know what to prepare for week one through your opponent because there is no previous game footage that you can really go off of besides last season. And of course, with the new changes that have been, taking place, and even how the input for the games are now done. It's a big guessing game. It's a big chess match. So what do you think was some of the key components to Canton's win tonight?
I think the key thing that we really had going for us was we had a really great run system going with Robert Johnson. We had Logan Lee contributing, and we also had our fullback Cherry as well, really contributing, and just overall, we softened up the run game of Arizona really, really well, which opened a little bit of passing to Dillapre and a lot of the bigger guys, and Jack Wall a little bit too. I didn't want to leave my man out. So, yeah, I think overall we just really softened up the defense for the run game, which also let up the pass a little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tremendous effort, great game plan. Hope you can keep up that same momentum for the rest of the season.
Let's hope so.
All right, man. Thank you so much for your time, Andrew.
Thank you.
Anytime, man. Back to you in the booth.
Thank you, Ashley. Skippy with a $1.99 super chat to Cam loses razor, and then Doug Day saying Mike O'Neill sure did. Look, when you're as busy as me and Mike calling these games and doing all this stuff, you don't have time to shave. Who cares about shaving? I told my wife the other day, Mike, that I'm like one of those people that's rich that just walks around and just doesn't care about his appearance, except I'm not rich. That's
Without the money.
It's the only thing missing. That's right, without the money. Otherwise, I'm everything else. Thank you to Andrew Gibson and Eddie Gage for stopping by there. What a performance for Canton, 28-0 over Arizona. In their last two games, they have it's crazy, Mike. You can't make this up, but they've outscored opponents 69-0 at home in their last two games. I mean, that's nuts. Let's transition to another blowout. This is going to forever be known as the Gabriel Manning game. By the way, hopefully our audio levels are better out there. I am under the weather, so maybe I am not talking as loud as I usually am. So hopefully we got that all balanced out. But Tulsa, 52-17, they dominate and destroy Carolina. But this game was tied at 17 at the half, Mike. That was what the crazy part was.
It was tied at 17. We were watching it. Brooke and I were watching this last night, and it was a really good game. I mean, up into the half, I was like, all right, because Carolina at one point had the lead early in the game, and then Tulsa started to come back, and they tied it up at 17 at halftime. And then after halftime, I don't know what happened. I don't know whether Tulsa had a really good halftime speech, right? But Gabriel Manning, it's like they were like, all right, listen, they're putting soft coverage on Gabriel Manning. We need to get him the ball. And unbelievable, man. To show out the way that he did is really, really impressive. I mean, we've been talking about it everybody likes to talk about how Gabriel Manning gets paid a lot of money, but he proved why he gets paid that much money last night for sure.
Yeah, he was just unbelievable. And, I think one of the storylines lost on this offseason was Michael Brown going to Tulsa, because in Motor City, he wasn't able to flourish. He had an okay season, but Motor City doesn't have a weapon like Gabriel Manning. And you could tell, like, Michael Brown was looking for him early and often because he knows how talented this guy is. And Brown played lights out. I mean, talk about a huge pickup for Tulsa to replace JQ.
It's a really good, it's mutually beneficial, right? Because Michael Brown comes from Motor City. Like you said, he doesn't really have any weapons, not to the level of Gabriel Manning. And I think Brett Killian mentioned that on the broadcast yesterday, that Michael Brown is thrilled to have a receiver like Gabriel Manning in this situation. And Gabriel Manning is thrilled to have a quarterback that's trying to prove himself, right? Because now they've got a really good connection, a 1-2 duo, and this is going to be something to watch for the rest of this season, right? Can we see this Brown Manning duo becoming one of the greatest the SFL has ever seen? We're going to have to find out.
And what do you know? Ashley Jackson was able to catch Michael Brown after the game, so we get to hear what he had to say after his ridiculous 5-touchdown, no interception performance.
All right, welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with a good friend of mine, Mr. Michael Brown, quarterback for the Tulsa Desperados, that came off a huge win tonight, scoring 52 points, 17. Man, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
I know you are. 52 points.
I'm doing better than I would have been doing if we'd have lost.
Yeah, man. But
It's always good to be on the other side.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
But congratulations on this big win tonight. Tell me, besides, Gabriel Manning was a beast tonight. I believe he had 5 touchdowns, and he seemed to be your favorite target. But with you watching the game, tell me, what was the locker room like? What do you think that was the key to your victory this evening?
The key to the victory was, we punted one time all game. From first quarter to fourth quarter, it was one punt. So the key to victory was just putting the ball in all the right spots and scoring.
Absolutely. And that you did. You guys found a way to win in a big way, and hopefully these are going to be some of the keys to your success, or foreshadowing for the future of Tulsa Desperados for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Which games like that, I'm kind of not a stranger to. In Motor City, I've had probably 3 or 4 of them games.
Mm-hmm. How has that transition been for you from Motor City going to Tulsa?
Pretty smooth, actually.
Nice.
When I decided that I wanted to explore free agency, I always liked Marco, and me and Marco talked from the first time that I was in, when I first started, which I was with Madison, and I was a running back, and I wanted to be a quarterback, and I'm from Kentucky, and the Lexington Miners are based in Lexington, Kentucky. So I was like, hey, how can I get over there? And he was like, if the quarterback leaves, you might get a spot. So I thought in season 7, I thought Chad Moore, because it said that he left the server. I seen that he left the server. So I switched to quarterback, hoping I was going to get the position. And then me and Marco just kept in communication, and it worked out.
Awesome, man. It sure did. And it seems like it's working out in a good way, a positive direction. So congratulations on your win, and I wish y'all the best of luck for the rest of the season, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Back to you in the booth.
All right, let's go back to the highlights, Mike, and we resume our action in Denver, where the Denver Night Wings took on the Jacksonville Kings late last night. Gene Struthers hits Jeremy Mosley for the touchdown on Denver's opening possession. Love the new end zones, too. Look at those. Beautiful. Night wings flying through the night sky. 7-0 Denver, and O.J. Bruin tried to get things moving, but instead finds Jeff Malinish. This dude was a beast. He had a sack, he had a pick, 9 tackles, 3 TFLs. He was all over the place, and so was this man, R.E. Mills. Somebody knows how to get the fullback involved, and it's Stephon Forge and the Denver Nightwings, man. R.E. was incredible.
Yeah, RE was really, really good. Stephon Forge put a really good playbook together for week 1. The ball placement was great by Gene Struthers. Not much more you could ask for if you're a Denver fan.
O.J. Bruin hits Connor Weston for the touchdown, gets Jacksonville back in it. Coach Gooden likes that. 14-7, now 17-7 just before the half. Gene Struthers is picked off in the end zone by Alex Bond, but he decides to bring it out. Actually kind of ran into his own man there on the return, only gets it out to the 1-yard line. So then O.J. Bruin back to pass on first down, and he takes a sack and a safety. A big momentum swing there in favor of Denver, and then right back to R.E. Mills the other way, made it 26-10. Nightwings late in the third. Jacksonville just could not get the train moving, but Sean Sanders on his best run of the night here gets out of the backfield and erupts, but Jacksonville only able to turn it into a field goal early on in the fourth quarter. So 26-13, back to Bailey O'Shaughnessy on the ground. Both O'Shaughnessy and R.E. Mills with 83 rushing yards in this game and a balanced attack. There you see it, 134 rushing yards for Denver on this night. And then just frustration at the end of the game as Logan Keels ripped down by his face mask. 29-13. Denver gets the win. Ashley Jackson caught up with Denver's Lucas DeVore after the game.
All right, what is going on? And welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with free safety Lucas DeVore from the Denver Nightwings that are just coming off an incredible win this evening over the Jacksonville Kings. Man, how are you doing?
I am very happy. I'm ecstatic. If the game is an indication of how the season's going to go, I'm very excited.
Awesome. And I know that, Jacksonville and Denver both had to do some replacements of players for the offseason. And it definitely seems like it worked out in a big way in your favor. So tell me, what was the locker room vibe like when, as the game was going on and as you seen the final score ending, the time ticking down and that final score was right there for you?
Everyone was excited. Early this morning, we were excited. We were getting even more hyped as the game was getting ready to happen. And then as the game went on, we were all just, you could tell everybody was just excited and happy with how everything was going and was performing. And then after, I haven't really been in the locker room after that, after the game, but I'm sure everybody's happy and they're excited to see what we can do.
Awesome. So what keeps you coming back to the SFL? What keeps you, or what makes you want to stay a member?
It's just, I've never been able to play football in real life. So having something that I can watch, a character that I've made, dominate and do well, is something I wish I could have done in real life.
Hey, same here, being a female, going out to male-dominated sport. I mean, there are female leagues out there, but, wanting to go and play for the Falcons or the Bears or something like that, nah. But it is truly football for everyone, and I am glad that you are enjoying your experience. I'm glad that you, got a week 1 victory, over a very tough opponent that they're finding their way as well. Jacksonville, hats off to you for the draft that you had and replacing those pieces. And but Denver came out victorious in this. Congratulations and good luck for the rest of the season to you.
Thank you so much.
Anytime. Back to you in the booth.
Thanks, Ashley. Back to the highlights as Vancouver was at home against Portland, and early on a 4th down stop for DJ Woods. Defenses came to play in this one. Look, Portland can do it too. A 4th down stop there to force a field goal. 10-3. Kendra Wells, welcome back to Vancouver, gets a couple of great blocks. This game didn't have a ton of highlights, Mike, but that was the one as Wells gets into the end zone, makes it 17-3. Another 3rd and goal. Judah Sessi wraps up Scott Johnson. They have to kick the field goal. This was the whole game, Mike. Portland scored field goals. Vancouver scored touchdowns. There goes Pseudo Nakai.
Yeah, I love that run by Pseudo. I love the bunch formation, right? You get some good blockers on the outside and just put, a speedy, undersized Pseudo Nakai out there to run.
Now Christian Brown down the field. It's Stephen McMichaels, who came back from injury, makes it 24-6. Vancouver, then play fake. Pass tipped to the line of scrimmage, had a man wide open, and look, another field goal for Portland made it 24-9, 27-9. The final. Kendra Wells wins in her first game back with Vancouver. All right, now on to DC, where the DC Dragons hosted the Louisiana Revolution, and look at that, Lyric Da Vinci, the former Rev, with the catch. DC already up 10-0. They just had it all going on in this first half. Louisiana 1 first down in the first half. Look at Chuck Stellar, man. He just will not go down. Gets all the way down to the 1-yard line. And then Kevin Say punches it in. DC looked just as impressive as last season, Mike, when they got to the 7th seed.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, DC has always been a really, really good quality team. Look at this run. I love the screen pass here, and way to get it to a playmaker and let him get outside. But yeah, this was a really interesting one. Unfortunately for Louisiana, it didn't quite go the way they wanted to start, and yeah, just tough sledding for them.
They did put it together on that drive with the Salmon screen, and then later on in the drive, this pass to Salmons on a 3rd and 10. Look at them fight for yardage. Actually came up inches short of the 4th down, but they went for first down. They went for it anyway, and they got it. And then Salmons punched it in. At this point in the game, Mike, I thought Louisiana had a shot. 20-7, 5.5 minutes to go in the 3rd, but just too much DC. Look at them just dominate. Up front, the pressure was extreme on Utah today. Tommy Utah adds a touchdown to John Michael Sudduth late in the 4th quarter, made it a 12-point game. Sudduth with some moves. I didn't know that Sudduth had the ability to look at him. He's just like one of those wacky waving arm flailing tube men at the car lot. Potty. 6 field goals. 6 field goals, Mike. 1 off the league record, and that was the difference in the game. 32-14. Potty's 6 field goals, 18 points was the separator, but this really was all DC.
It was all DC, man. And anytime, look, obviously, if you're the offensive coordinator for DC, you don't want your kicker to have to kick that many times, right? But the bottom line is they were able to move the ball and get the ball into really good field position, able to capitalize points on there. And kudos to DC's defense, right, for shutting down Salmons in that offensive attack, because, I mean, Salmons, we saw it in that game with that screen. Like, he's an electric player. They've got a lot of electric players on that Louisiana offense and a lot of money tied up in that backfield. DC did a really good job in this one.
Another blowout to talk about, and I know that you were hoping that maybe we'd have to cut it for time, Mike, but unfortunately,
I was
we
like,
had plenty of time
look at that
to talk about Houston's 44-7 win over San Diego. Similar to Arizona, less than 200 yards, 165 yards in this game. Turnovers were the story as Houston had 4 touchdowns on 12 completions. They had over 200 yards of rushing. They just seemed to be able to do it all. You were the head coach for San Diego, so how did you see the way the game played out? It was week 1 after all.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not here to make excuses. I mean, you can say it's week 1 and it's a toss-up, which sure. But at the end of the day, we didn't have the playbook we needed coming into that game, and Houston had a really good playbook. They had a lot of open options. The goal line, I mean, it killed me as a coach watching that game, because I see that goal line call, right, where they hit the play action, and I believe it was Irvine, or Bovine, sorry, out on that tight end route, and he was just wide open, and nobody was there. So that was really impressive. Yeah, it was a tough one. We couldn't get anything going on offense. We're going to have to be better, but again, Week 1, you never know what's going to happen, and it's a long season ahead. So San Diego, we're going to be fine. We're going to correct it and right the ship and move forward. But kudos to Houston in that playbook for sure.
Well, we've heard from San Diego's coach. Now, how about Houston's Damon Simeon after their big win?
All right, welcome back to PGI, where I'm joined with another good friend of mine, Mr. Damon Simeon. He is co-owner as well as head coach over at the Houston Headhunters side of the league, and they just had a fantastic performance over the San Diego Mavericks, winning 44-7. Man, so y'all just didn't know when to stop, huh? Y'all just said we just all gas, no brakes, huh?
Absolutely. I mean, it's hunting season for us. You know, Houston Headhunters is the name, and the name of the game is collecting trophies. You know, that's what it's all about for us as of right now. And each season, you want to start week 1 off with a bang. That week one game is so important to get a victory under. Although you don't know what your opposing opponent is running because you have no film on them, you know, in week 1. But so being able to out-mastermind, you know, the opposing team in week 1 and getting that victory basically is a heads up in this league. Indeed.
And to just put on such a dominating performance, you know, that is a statement win, you know, to have put basically, even though it is week 1, at the league on notice, especially the South Division, because you guys were very strong last season. And even with Dave Burr throwing 4 touchdowns to Tiberius, a couple to Tiberius Bovine and a couple others, that was just a stellar performance. And even the defense holding that high-powered offense of San Diego and Johnny Pickler to only 7 points.
Yeah, Johnny. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were breaking to me. I'm sorry. No, I was just gonna say, you know, San Diego is a really great team. You know, and the SFL, who you got, you know, pick'ems. San Diego won the pick'em versus, I think it was 117-78, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But not only that, I mean, they're a strong team, as you say. They have a lot of great weapons, you know, in Benji Matson over there, Britton, the rookie receiver who has great speed over there. The running back, you know, and Johnny Pickler. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Johnny Pickler led the league in passing yards last season, or even completion percentage or so. I mean, like that, yeah. You know, Duke can ball, you know, and anytime you can hold him in check and not allow him to beat you with his arms, you know, basically says good things about your defense.
Absolutely. All right, then. Well, good luck for the rest of the season. You know, keep collecting those trophies, and you know, unless you're playing a certain team. And I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Take care, Ashley.
All right, you too, brother.
One last highlight to get to, and that was Motor City and Mexico City. And well, we're gonna try this again since well, that's lovely. Hey, look, that was
we just had to catch up. That's all.
Here's a replay of it. Jacob Morrison right off his foot. BB Blitz with the muffed punt return touchdown. Are you kidding me? Put Motor City up 7-3, and then Ray Bentley's in the end zone just before the half, made it 10-7. Noe Terrazas against his former team, and you never want to see that, Mike. That's unfortunate to see there for Motor City, but Terrazas gets in the end zone. It was just that kind of night. Weird game in Detroit. Terrazas walks it in, makes it 17-7 over the V8s. This was a critical drive. King Jackson started to get things moving here late in the third quarter. That one goes for 18. It gets Motor City into the red zone with 7 minutes to go in the game, down 10. But this was the play. 2nd and 1. Play fake. Everyone fooled except Evan Miller. Nobody covered him, and he gets the sack. Motor City ended up having to settle for 3, and that was a huge stand for the Aztecs in this one.
Yeah, it was a huge stand, Cam. Ultimately, the Aztecs really came out to play. Everybody, I mean, we saw the huge offseason that they had, and really they lived up to it on the field. And I didn't think Motor City was bad by any means. They really did keep themselves in it, but Mexico City really was just there, and I think they had a really good defense in order to keep Motor City to where they were at.
Buford Van Dam runs out the clock, and Mexico City holds on 17-10. A $22.12 super chat from Mr. Mike Daggs. Season 22 off to an amazing start. Great games, great visuals, great commentary. Looking forward to a great season. Love you, Matt. Miss number 12 on the field and in my life. Go Aztecs. Well, he certainly is not permanently out of our lives here in the SFL, as we got a chance, Mike, to listen to the Matt Wilson pregame show on Friday. That was
it was killer.
That was a great addition to week one. And if you love that show, send Mike and Gerald your DMs and let them know, as hopefully they will be joining us again in week 2 and beyond. So that is a look across the league in week number 1. It was a great week 1, and now we turn our focus to tonight's Monday Night Spectacular between Fort Worth and Alamo City. First up is Mike O'Neill's game tape. 6-4 left, down 16-10. Dunhill, they're going to keep it in his hands. Dunhill's pass, caught by Stevens.
Look here, Seattle bringing a lot of pressure. Lakewood flips down. Davis Reed out of the backfield. Oh, first down.
What is going on, everybody? Mike O'Neill here. Welcome to X's and O's. We're going to talk about Fort Worth and Alamo City. Huge rematch from last season. One of the big keys for Alamo City here tonight is going to be getting a good coverage unit out of the linebacking core. I want you guys to pay attention right here to number 57. That's Jay Martin, the inside linebacker position. Watch how he drops back. They're trying to get it to Robert Gare Jr. He just steps in front of the pass and does a really good job. You see the nice stiff arm there as he gets to the sideline. This is going to be a huge key. They've got nearly $4 million tied up in the backfield of Fort Worth, so a lot of heavy sets. Speaking of Fort Worth, we know, Cam, you talk about Gabriel Manning last night. How about this guy at the top of the screen, Stephen Hacker? Notice they're in a nickel set on defense here, but they've got the nickel back up towards Stephen Hacker because they're going to double team him. That's how much emphasis teams put on this player right here. I want you to watch in the slot, though. Cade Stevens, right? This is what you cannot do. You cannot give Cade Stevens a big day out of the slot. This is going to be detrimental for Alamo City if this happens. So that is going to do it for us, guys. Good luck to both teams tonight. This is going to be an incredible matchup. Remember, for Alamo City, the coverage out of the linebacking core is going to be crucial tonight. And for Fort Worth, use Cade Stevens out of the slot. You bring over E.J. Minson. You've got two great receivers on the outside in Hacker and Minson. They're going to put a lot of emphasis on those two receivers, so utilize Cade Stevens. Guys, this should be a great one. We'll see you next week on X's and O's.
Thank you, Mike, for those X's and O's. And, Fort Worth, Alamo City should be an incredible game tonight. Here's a look at some of your storylines. ACA leads Fort Worth in the all-time series 8-1. But remember, Fort Worth got over the hump at the end of last season to complete their undefeated regular season. They won 24-22. Not a lot of additions to these rosters, Mike, but they did add a couple of weapons. Lili Nakai over in Fort Worth. And then Vin Calia in Alamo City is a big add there. These two teams combined for 22-2, 22-2 combined overall record from season 21. This should be an amazing Week 14 matchup, Mike. I know that you talked about on your X's and O's just the coverages and trying to contain these weapons, but how do you see this game playing out?
Well, this game really has it has a potential to be whatever you could imagine. Like, they've got running games on both sides. They've got passing games on both sides. They've got defenses on both sides. This game really could go any direction. So whenever you're looking at it, it's really hard to break that down because both of these rosters are really well put together. You talked about the additions for Fort Worth and Alamo City. Vin Calia and Alamo City is going to be a different look. I think that's going to be something really, really interesting to pair up with Yeo Montana over there. And look, both teams, I really think it's going to come down to defense in this one. I really think it's going to come down to who can, get more stops, right? And who can shut down the run game. As we've seen this weekend, the trend seems to be if you can't run the ball and you become one-dimensional, your odds of winning that game goes down. And I think that really carries on here. It's going to come down to these offensive lines. It's going to come down to the defenses stopping the other side's rushing attack. It's going to be a really, really hard fought game ultimately, especially when you consider the results of the last season game.
Our full crew is here tonight and was here on This Week in the SFL. Chris Curtis and Tyler Falk are back at studio for halftime and postgame. And tonight, for the first time in many years, I am joined by Charles Doherty, who is my new lead analyst on Monday Night Spectaculars. We actually did games together in the same place at SFL headquarters for a full season of work back a few seasons ago. And so Charles and I get to reunite just a bit. I am under the weather. Hopefully he can carry me a little bit, and hopefully I don't have to strain too much tonight on the call, but it should be a great one from Chile, San Antonio, Fort Worth, and Alamo City coming up in about 5 minutes time, Mike. So settle in. Everyone have a great time. Fort Worth, Alamo City coming up on SFL YouTube on the other side. We'll see you then.